Ink up. Slow down. Write your rhythm with Script and Scribe.
Hi everyone, welcome to Script and Scribe. I'm Kat, and today we're looking at Kaweco's collection in Mellow Blue, a compact classic with a calm colorway. This is one of the pens I got in my mystery box from Cult Pens recently, and if you missed the unboxing, be sure to check that video out. The pen comes in a minimalist cardboard box, low on frills but a plus for sustainability. Once you take it out, you're greeted by a compact sky-toned blue barrel. So this looks full of charm and character. And it remains a fan favorite, especially among folks who like their pens portable, fuss-free, and a bit retro. Looking at the size of this pen, I had to put it next to my chunky Opus 88 Omar demonstrator to get a feel for it, and capped it's 4.2 inches or 10.7 centimeters. Posted it's a comfortable 5.2 inches or 13.2 centimeters, and it's designed to be used posted. So once you pop the cap on the back, it transforms into a pen that feels more balanced to me. It weighs only 10.7 grams, making it ultra light and perfect for pockets or planners, but I do personally feel that it's too light. But I do like the cap. That screw-on cap has a satisfying, secure feel, and the fact that it's, got those edges, the octagonal shape stops it from rolling off your desk. I like the feel overall, and I think it's got really good quality ABS plastic, which is similar to the plastic, or is the same plastic as used for Lamy. The Mellow Blue is part of Kaweco's collection series, featuring special edition colors released periodically. This one is soft powdery robin's egg blue. We'll test out the stainless steel fine nib on the Graf von Faber-Castell notebook that I started last week. 100 GSM high quality dot grid paper. Immediately I feel this fine stainless steel nib has a slightly toothy feel to it. It's definitely not butter smooth, but it offers a nice controlled feedback, probably good for sketching and note-taking. It skipped half my upward stroke on the M, so we'll just pop that in. Now that patchy M was not a one-off. In my writing sample that I continue with, it did skip twice more, so I decided to do a comparison with my Sailor Pro Gear Slim Extra Fine, which I was going to do anyway because I wanted to compare the feedback, but I also want to compare the flow of the ink from the nib. The Pro Gear Slim is about 7 grams heavier because it has a resin body and it also has gold trim for, well, the trim and for the nib. Instantly you'll hear some feedback. And what you'll see is that the flow is so much better coming out of the nib. And this is not a very wet ink. It is Wieringiel Jane Eyre, which is a standard one. It hasn't got any sheen or anything, but its property is not to lean too wet. It does have slightly dry leaning, not overly dry, but considering how well it's flowing with this pen, it really makes me wonder about the Kaweco, which has come with its standard cartridge. So not once have I had to go back to fill in a letter where part of the nib has skipped on the page. So I do feel that it's a bit of an unfair comparison, considering that one is a stainless steel nib and the other one's a gold nib. I do sometimes feel like, gold nib, it doesn't always outperform steel ones, but in this case it does. So the best thing to do is to pick up the Opus 88 Omar again and try out that stainless steel nib in comparison to this one. I know that the Opus 88 Omar uses a Jovo number 6 nib, and I don't know what the Kaweco uses because I'm finding conflicting information online. I've seen something say that, yes, definitely the Kaweco has a Bock nib, the Kaweco Sport. Then I've seen someone say, no, that was discontinued in 2019. They now use Jovo. I don't feel like that is a Jovo nib that I'm writing with when I try out the Kaweco Sport, but I'm not entirely sure. It certainly runs drier than I'm used to, but could someone more knowledgeable sort of enlighten us in the comments? Is the Kaweco Sport a Bock nib, a Jovo nib, or something entirely different? I find that it writes a lot drier than this nib, the Jovo, which is juicy. You can see it's generally wetter due to the nib size and also the eyedropper system, which has got this really nice valve at the top and allows the flow of the ink to come out nicely, which is not something that I was feeling with the Kaweco. I just felt like the ink flow was really struggling. That said, you can see it feathered a little bit on the E on fine. Now, as I continued to test this Kaweco, I realized something else about the nib. The angle at which I hold this pen, or the nib itself, really makes a difference as to whether it's going to skip or not. So you can see that here in this test. Now for £25, I don't want to adjust the angle that I write at to accommodate a nib. I want the pen to actually accommodate the way that I write, not the other way around. Equally, I don't want to be unfair or make assumptions. Perhaps I needed to do some more work in preparing this one, like flushing it out, which I don't have to do with a lot of my other pens where they just write straight out the box. So what I've done is clean this out. I'm going to try it again with a wetter ink and then try it again with the standard cartridge from Kaweco that's been supplied. And let's see if that makes it perform better. While we wait for the water to dry out of that nib and feed, let's go on to a test that I did earlier, which is actually to show you a pen that I haven't had to prep and just write straight out the box. Now, these Jinhao 82s are dupes for the Pro Gear Slim, but they tend to retail for £5, and I'm just trying to decide which color to go with. I reckon the green, because we got a nice muted look to it, just like the Kaweco has, you know, that understated color. And we will test that out with this Diamine Celadon Cat. Jinhao makes its own nibs for its pens, but I have seen a lot of people say that a Jovo standard nib can fit in various models, including in the 82. Let me know if you've tried that out. Personally, I already like the original's performance. So writing, totally smooth, no skipping. It is really writing well. It is not feathering, so not overly wet, and definitely not dry. So it's only fair to test the different angles of writing, because at the moment I'm preferring this pen. I'm finding it flowing a lot better than the Kaweco, and it is like 5 times less in terms of price. But will it be consistent when we're actually changing the angle at which I'm writing? So flow is really good, straight down, and then to the side, actually it's slightly less flow, but no skipping. But definitely less flow, so very similar to the Kaweco, except it doesn't stop. Yep, it doesn't stop, it just goes lighter. Definitely consistent. Try it reverse. Nope, not a reverse writer. Let's try the Kaweco, because I didn't try whether that was a reverse writer, so we'll give that a go. Yes, that writes like an extra fine, so it beats the Jinhao writing reverse. I also prefer the design of the Kaweco to the 82, because this is, after they relaunched in 1994, a revived design, and I really like that Art Deco look to it, and the fact that it's, you know, functional, it stops it from rolling off your desk. And we're back to test out the flushed out pen to see if this was because of some manufacturing oils or dust. Now it looks odd because I found a converter that fits but doesn't fit entirely. The Kaweco does not come with a converter as standard, they just give you a cartridge. So I found one that fits securely in for it to start writing, but it doesn't fit into the body of it. And we're going to try out the Celadon Cat as well, because that's the ink that I used in the Jinhao 82, and it felt wet enough to, you know, be a good one to test and to give the nib a real opportunity to not skip and be patchy. It might all be about not having flushed out the pen, because I'm so used to other pens or pen manufacturers doing the quality control and flushing it out, and you see a little bit of the blue ink already in the nib when you start using it. And it's actually one of the cheapest manufacturers who does this, the Jinhaos. You can write straight out the box without having to flush. Okay, so this is not looking patchy, so I would highly recommend don't be like me, don't make a newbie mistake and not flush out this pen, because I think there's definitely residual oils, manufacturing debris, and you want to ensure smooth ink flow. So don't make an assumption that it is not clogged up, and just do that and prevent the skipping that I had at the start, because what we're seeing now is a performance that is more like the 82. When I change the angle, it doesn't stop, but it does go lighter, and I'm okay with that. So to recap, don't be like Cat, and do prep your pens when you get them new. Don't just ink them up and expect them to be perfect. Now, feedback wise, this one is pleasant for anyone who likes feedback and sketching. That said, I mean, if you can splurge a little bit, then I would still recommend the Sailor Pro Gear Slim. I just prefer that, but it is a personal preference. Then we go on to the design of it, and I do like the minimalist whole look of this, and I like that it's been brought back from previous design. However, in terms of functionality, while some people love this, and I like that it doesn't roll off the page, these pens hardly ever roll off because they've got clips. And a very rigid one on the Opus 88. We got a, again, very rigid one on the 82, and finally a slightly more flexible, bouncy one on the Pro Gear Slim, but none as flexible as the Graf von Faber-Castell, which has a lever back mechanism. So it might be a plus for you that you have to buy the clip extra, but for me it isn't a plus. As for the ink capacity, I think it's okay for throw in your bag sort of pen, but otherwise I would far prefer something with a lot more capacity. And certainly if you like a lot of ink without having to refill, you can't go wrong with a piston filler or an eyedrop filler like the Omar. For me, looking at the pen cost, I'm considering that the pen itself costs between $23.50 and $27.50. Then you have to add a clip if you want one, which is between $4 to $7. And if you want a converter rather than just cartridges, you're looking at an additional £5.50 to £7.50, which means to get pen, clip, and converter, you're looking at between £33 and £42. So for me, the comparison is going to have to be between this and the 82. You've got really good plastic on the Kaweco Sport, and you've got an original design. Whereas with the 82, you've got celluloid, which is less durable than the ABS, and it's also not an original design, it's a dupe. But do these cons warrant a price difference of about £30 between the Kaweco and the 82 is the question. And I think that comes down to personal preference, because if you enjoy the legacy story, for example, behind Kaweco and how they started in 1883 and went out of business, I think it was in the 1930s, and then were revived in the 1990s, I think that that is a great legacy story, whereas Jinhao doesn't have that sort of story. They are coming up with their own designs now, but for a long time they were mostly creating dupes of existing brands. So if you really like a legacy story and you value the ABS plastic over the celluloid a lot more, I can see you going towards the Kaweco. I would probably feel better about getting a brass one, just so that I can convince myself that the price difference is really and truly worth it. For me, the Kaweco collection in ABS and Mellow Blue just doesn't warrant a price difference of £30 over Jinhao 82. But as I say, this all comes down to personal preferences. So my final thoughts are that it's a decent pen. I don't love it, I don't hate it, and I've enjoyed testing it out and sort of understanding a bit more about what I like and don't like in my pens. Thanks for joining me, and take care.